Total War Age of Sigmar. Is it going to happen? Is it happening after Total War Warhammer 3? Is it a good idea, a bad idea? How do I feel about it? These are all things we're going to be discussing in this video, so clutch tight your amulets of Sigmar and let's sink our teeth into this one. Age of Sigmar is the spiritual successor to Warhammer Fantasy, which features many of the same characters and models, so you would think it would make complete sense that after Total War Warhammer 3 is finished, Age of Sigmar will take its place. Well, unfortunately, it's not that simple. Age of Sigmar has some major problems and complications, which would make it much harder for Creative Assembly to create a great and complete Total War game. There's a few things to take into account: money, risk, and timing. Total War Warhammer has been incredibly popular for both Creative Assembly and Games Workshop, having been one of the most praised and played Total War games of all time, with some insanely good longevity that has helped both companies massively. The Total War Warhammer series is coming to an end, however, with Game 3, though there is almost certainly going to be 3 to 4 years of DLC and extra free content if the first two games are anything to go by, but Creative Assembly, I'm sure, will be looking past that and into the future. Both Games Workshop and Creative Assembly are huge businesses, and what do huge businesses need? Money. Lots and lots of money. Age of Sigmar would no doubt make both companies a lot of that money, with Creative Assembly having already proven they can create a fantastic fantasy Total War series, but I think there is a far better alternative to Total War Age of Sigmar that makes way more sense for both companies, with maybe a little bit more risk, but almost guaranteed profit for both companies. That alternative is Total War Warhammer 40,000 or Total War Warhammer 40k, however you want to pronounce it. It has a larger fan base than Warhammer Fantasy ever did, and is a way larger fan base than Age of Sigmar currently has. The main difference and the risk that is kind of encompassed with this venture is that it's not a fantasy, it's a sci-fi. It still has many combat elements, but also a ton more ranged weaponry and tactics that could be hard to implement into the current Total War system. I'm not going to delve too deep into Total War Warhammer 40k, as I'm saving that for another video, but I think it is an option which is far better than Age of Sigmar because of the problems Age of Sigmar provides. One of these major problems is timing. When Total War Warhammer first came out, there had been nothing like it before in the Total War franchise, which has always focused predominantly around historical time periods. It was honestly mind-boggling that they would even attempt something like this, let alone actually succeed. So everyone was interested. Everyone wanted to know how it was going to work. People had so many questions. How would magic work? How would monsters work? How can you have a legendary lord in a Total War game? This isn't possible. Is this possible? There were so many, and the hype was definitely unreal. It's hard to recreate that kind of magic, though I must admit Creative Assembly have proven it's possible with Total War Warhammer 2 and look to be doing the same thing as well with Game 3. So I don't doubt they could create an amazing Age of Sigmar and get some hype built around it, but it wouldn't be the same as Warhammer Fantasy because, well, it's already kind of been done with Total War Warhammer. However, taking that risk to hop to 40k is a different story entirely. There's never been a sci-fi Total War before, and I think it would once again build up an excitement Age of Sigmar could never do, was also tapping into a larger audience. Now, I'm not saying Total War Age of Sigmar will never happen. In fact, I think there is a pretty good chance that it is going to happen, but the timing's just not quite right. Being set so close to fantasy is a problem, but it's not the only one. The game has way newer lore than Fantasy did, and it's still being created. Models are changing, armies are different from one edition to the next. It'd be an absolute logistical nightmare for Creative Assembly to create a cohesive story in a world which is still growing. I think it still needs to stabilize even more before it can be handled and made fresh again. Age of Sigmar had a ton of backlash when it first came out, though those views have started to soften and Games Workshop are slowly guiding it to becoming a very popular game. So I do hope that one day it is created, just not right now. I think there have been some indications that Age of Sigmar is not really being considered right now and isn't right round the corner. I know Creative Assembly have publicly stated that they would be happy to work with the Games Workshop some more, but likewise they stayed very clear of any Age of Sigmar or End Times lore in the current Total War Warhammer series. Even in Game 3, they have said it has nothing to do with End Times, and the whole trilogy is centered around the reign of Karl Franz. So the reluctancy to touch on these topics means they aren't committed to doing something like Total War Age of Sigmar, but it will certainly be fresh at some point when they want to. Now, Games Workshop are pumping out quite a few Age of Sigmar games at the moment, but none of them are on the same scale of a Total War game, and it seems like they are testing the waters and trying some low-risk, smaller investment games. I haven't played too many of them myself, but I've heard relatively decent enough feedback about the games, if not anything spectacular. If Creative Assembly could prove themselves once again with 40k, coming back to Age of Sigmar game once the fandom for that game has evolved even more would probably catapult the franchise for Games Workshop, and considering this benefits both companies, a game does eventually seem likely. To wrap up this small video, I think my opinions on the whole matter are, yes, Total War Age of Sigmar will happen, but not for a very long time, and almost certainly not till after Total War Warhammer 40,000. I think it's too close to fantasy, not stable enough lore and model-wise, and it isn't as profitable as other ventures the two companies could make. I do hope it happens at some point though. I grew up playing Warhammer Fantasy, I love that game, I love the lore, and Age of Sigmar will never be the same for me, but I do think eventually it'll become a decent world and game that I would like to explore, even if it won't hit that same spot of nostalgia, which I seek more and more as I get older. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was really fun to actually write kind of like a small script and have it prepared, rather than my usual improv videos, which I do love still doing, by the way, and will continue to do. But if you enjoyed this type of video, you know what to do. Hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe. If this video gets enough traction, I would love to make one for Total War 40k, Total War Dune, Total War Lord of the Rings versions, and so on and so on. So until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.